All right. Welcome back to the Supported Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Joe Sebastian, joined tonight by a very special guest. I say very special because he was actually my coach, and I consider him a mentor and a lifelong friend, Mr. Brian Humphrey. How are you, sir?
Fabulous, Joe. Super fabulous. Excited to be here.
Awesome. Nice having you. So you are hailing us from enemy territory right now. Actually, you are across the northern border in Canada, but it's okay. I think we're still no shots have been fired yet. We had your new prime minister down, and apparently it's all good. You're going to remain a sovereign country for now, but we won't. I don't know if we'll get into politics today, but I did want to give you a little bit of an intro. So, Brian Humphrey and I, he actually was my accountability coach for a program that I joined a couple years ago that got me into business and entrepreneurship. But he is from the Great White North. Is that what it's called? Great White North, right? And he went to Cambrian College for an advanced diploma in physical fitness and business management, and then Sheridan College for health sciences and athletic therapy. He worked with pro athletes and then moved into business partnership and scaled 1 to 4 brick and mortar gym locations. He sold shares in 2018, 2019, and moved into a CEO role in a nonprofit and had created 14 years ago. He actually sold real estate in 2021 and moved into financial freedom and travel with his family. And I think at the time you were coaching me, you were down in Costa Rica. He's sold, that was a result of him selling some of that real estate. He also works on helping fathers recreate their lives around the things that matter the most and master their mental, physical, and emotional well-being. He's focused on his family, relationships, and helping as many people as he can with group coaching and one-on-one offer. And program is called the Successful Fatherhood. So we'll share the links to that as well, and it'll be in your bio. But hey, how was that?
That's a mouthful.
Welcome.
For sure. Thanks for all that. But more than anything, I think it's just the friendship that was created in growing a business and like learning, right? Like we became close through the process of building something, which is pretty awesome.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's dive in. So it's a Supported Learning Podcast. We are sharing a lot of people's different journeys. We've looked inside the educational process. We had a couple of people on. We had a professor on. We've had someone as a leader in Fairfax County schools, as a curriculum designer, and just talking about the state of education, but also a celebration of learning because, I think traditional education is at a crossroads right now. It's changing. There's a lot of lack of trust in the traditional methods of schooling. But, wanted to have you on, not just because you are a friend and a mentor, but, you have a very unique outlook and mindset on a lot of things. And let's just I know we talked about your bio, but let's just talk about your journey through learning. And, maybe many consider this not to be the non-traditional path of getting to where you are, but just kind of walk us through your evolution through the learning journey.
Yeah. I would say it took me probably 15 years of failing in business to finally learn, like to get to a point where I'm like, I had to acknowledge the fact that something wasn't working or I wasn't feeling good about what I thought was working or my expectations were out of whack. So I had to readdress the way that I learned. It's funny because through all of traditional education, I didn't think I was a very good student. But the second that I got excited about something, and actually I always wanted to own gyms, or always wanted to go into fitness, always wanted to go into health, and I did. But then I got it, and I had this, multi-million-dollar operation, and I wasn't happy. That goal was set when I was I was doing like a TA position in like grade 11 with my gym instructor. I actually wanted to be a phys ed teacher, right? So it's when that came to an end that I actually started learning or started applying myself to learn something new. And that's actually when I started really I started asking myself, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? What do I want to experience? And from there, I just, again, I became the best student I've ever been in probably 28 years of my life, right? So it took kind of being in an unconscious state and all that traditional learning and getting to kind of the end of that road and then being like, hold on, like this ain't it. And then opening up to new ways of information. I was closed off to all those other new ways of information. I can give you an example of someone
Yeah.
that we both know, like Chris Stapleton, like meeting him in Toronto, like in 2018, like had shattered a paradigm of what was possible in an industry I had been in for almost 20 years. And that was him.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, he introduced me to someone like 7, 8 years younger than me doing, I don't know, 6 figures a month as a solo coach, personal trainer, like traveling the world with
Yeah.
online fitness. And I had been brick and mortar systems. I'd been learning, like, bought the tools. We had a business consultant that built it all together for us, 4 GMs, right to the point where it's like, hold on a second, someone has something like twice the size of what I have based on him working solo and traveling the world. So I was like, it opened something up where I'm like, I know nothing about that. Started learning about it. And when I even brought that back into my regular world of my brick and mortar, it was almost like, oh, that's a pyramid scheme, or that's that never works, or like, oh, that online side of things. Like it had to rattle the cage of what the normal was. And my
Right.
business, that's what actually started the disconnect between my business partner and I at the time of what was possible, dreaming bigger, like using online systems and processes to actually scale the business better than what we could. And then I moved into something like Gym Launch with Hermosi, and that was all about the hybrid and that
Mm-hmm.
hybrid model. So, anyways, come back full circle. Was it like it took the end of a full cycle of thinking that this was it to let new information in and actually be willing to learn something brand new in a totally different industry?
So if I could go back for a little bit. So you went the traditional way in college, right? You were going to go,
Be a phys ed
right,
head.
traditional,
Yep.
right. Okay.
And then out
Traditional
of that,
job seeking.
yep. And then went into a degree in health sciences and athletic therapy because I'm like, well, I actually want to work with athletes, pro athletes.
Yeah.
And then over that period of time, it just eventually led to like, I kind of like my own freedom. I kind of want to do my own thing. Right.
Let's just rewind it for a second. So the traditional method of potentially going into, physical therapy, personal training, maybe being a trainer for a pro team, that was the original entry into that. Where was that first mindset shift? Was it Chris Stapleton, or did it happen sooner?
Oh,
Because you did choose, like, I'm gonna do a business. I'm gonna run a business, which not everyone goes to college thinking that.
yeah. I mean, the neat thing is like I had business experience from school, which helped a ton. So, I mean, I can back it up even more of like the reason, like I went in to be a phys ed teacher because my parents had benefits and pensions. And that was
Okay.
what I was conditioned to think like I needed to have in order to have a family, right? Like I really, that's the reason I went into that, is because I was like, okay, that's what I have to do.
Right.
Uh, and then through school, I mean, honestly, the timing was perfect because one of my best friends, we talked him into playing football in like grade 11, and he was a goalie and incredible athlete, track athlete, and literally we talk him into like playing football on the high school football team, and then he goes pro. Like he gets pulled by Queens, picks him up, and then he goes pro like 4 years later in Canada, right? So, and he's actually like he's been in the sport field. He's probably one of the highest up positions in sport in Canada. But it's like he graduated and went pro the year that I graduated, and I started working with athletes, and he was one of the first athletes that I worked with. So it kind of started to change around then of what was possible, right? Because he had an identity shift. He was a pro athlete. He was trying to kind of find his boots on the ground. So there was, I was working for another like a smaller business at the time. I was the head coach there. I was working with all their athletes, and I had the opportunity to go into business with them. And I actually something worked out where I didn't. I just went out on my own, which was the best decision I ever made. And then there was the information of like, well, this is as far as you can go based on the hours you can work and based on the price that you can charge. And one of the first wake up moments for me when I tapped out then was when I got married like 15 years ago, where all my friends now that worked for somebody else were teachers, were police officers, worked for Toyota. They were getting paid to be at my wedding. And I was taking 2 weeks to get married in Mexico, and I was taking 2 weeks where I wasn't seeing any clients, wasn't coaching any athletes, wasn't getting paid a cent, and was paying to go there.
Yeah.
And I just had this whole like, hold on, like that was almost the second rattle of the cage, being like, do I need to go back? And I actually I went into firefighting for 7 years, and I was still trying to find that benefits pension thing to feel secure, right?
Yeah. It's so interesting because it's like obviously we've had two different journeys, but I think in terms of that safety and that security piece, and even to quote Michael Baranoff, like the average, like I think we programmed to set up to go for that middle class job because, in interviewing many parents that have come into our program, and some I've met there are business owners, there are entrepreneurs that are immigrants that are coming to this country, but they're not directing their kids to pursue entrepreneurship. They're directing them to go to medical school, like go be a safe job, right? And we'll kind of get to it in a little bit here about AI disrupting everything, but like we kind of had that similar pathway too of like go get the pension. But then it's like when so you sought after that, I guess then when it was like I gotta do something different. Like when did that switch happen?
Well, that switch happened again, getting into like becoming a firefighter. Like that was really it. And then getting there and being like, this ain't it. Like then I was like, okay, so this is my position. This is as far as I can go. This is as much as I can make right now. And I got to put my life on the line. That was it. So I'm a grower. Like I don't care what team I'm a part of. I'm like, I just want to find my way to the top or lead or contribute on a higher level. And it's like when you get into a job and they're like, yeah, well, you really can't contribute in that regard. You can't contribute more than you're only supposed to just give this amount. That didn't fit for me. That boxed mentality didn't fit for me.
Like a salary job, basically, like, hey, no matter how good you are, you're still gonna get this.
Yeah, this is your worth. This is your worth. And
And
it's
you
like, yeah,
didn't.
but like I'd be like, I'll take that on. Like I'll redo that whole system. I think we could probably improve that. Like, oh no, that's somebody else's, and you don't have to worry about stuff. Like just kind of stay in your lane and do this. It's like, you know what I mean? There was like the bureaucracy and like
Yeah.
all the stuff that went with it. It's just like, man, like why? So I wanted to kind of shatter that, and I left again, like left firefighting. So to turn to my parents, and there was that whole, okay, I wasn't a phys ed teacher, went in and I was working, then what was going to go out on my own, but went into firefighting, like just kind of dipping my toe in,
Right.
and then having to have that conversation with my parents and be like, you know what, I don't want to be a firefighter. They're like, are you crazy?
Right.
Like, what, like, are you crazy? You just like, it took you 7 years to get in and did all this work and did all, like, went and lived down south and lived in Texas, took that on. But those choices taught me so much. Like doing that, it gave me systems and processes, SOPs, right? Like it taught me to be it taught me to be a man, to be honest, but it taught me how to lead, right? It taught me how to communicate because there's a high level of communication. It taught me a lot. And I was able to then apply that to business like right away. Not only that, but, forever appreciate, life and death as well.
So you get into brick and mortar gyms, and that's a whole new learning phase, right? Like you're learning how to be a business owner. But I mean, we've talked before. It wasn't the freedom that you thought it was going to be? Like it was a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and like so back to my wedding, it was like so that's when I was a sole proprietor and I'm working and I
Okay.
literally did the math backwards and said, "Hey, I want to make $150,000 a year." So that
Right.
means that I got to work X amount of one-on-ones, X amount of group classes, X amount of like and build. I had to build that out to the point where it's like, okay, I took 4 weeks off that past year. I still want to make that, but I actually want more time off, which means either my prices go up, right? Or I don't take that. So like either way, it was like it's math. And you're moving numbers
Right.
around. It's like I actually started valuing not working my ass off and being like, I don't want to be the only cog that creates money.
The only employee.
The only employee. Yeah. Right. So that was the whole wedding piece was like, okay, so I'm here, I'm paying to be here, and I'm not taking any money into my business. I'm like, I need to figure a way to replace myself and actually work on the business versus in the business.
Right.
And I started learning differently, right? Because I had learned everything to be that one role and to deliver and have all the certifications and the schooling. But then from there, it's like, well, now there's a ton of stuff I don't know. I need to learn all of that. How do I manage somebody like that? How do I find somebody like that? Then I started doing that, and that's when I started scaling. And then all of a sudden, it's like, okay, now that there's 4 of them running, and you're managing all that. My daughter came into the mix, and that was a really big piece. It was like I'm working like 80 hours a week,
Right.
driving like 3, 4 hours a day. Right? I'm leaving the house at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and I'm getting home at like 9:15.
Oh
It
wow.
wasn't sustainable. It
Yeah.
wasn't
You're
sustainable.
yeah. And was like you didn't have enough. The margins were tight, right? You weren't like
Oh
wasn't like
yeah,
you're making like 100K a month profit, right? Like it was.
yeah,
It's like we're working this hard, and yet there's not that much room. So I guess so. What was the next shift? Was the shift meeting Chris and saying like I could do something virtually with a lot less overhead and learn
yeah.
how to
It's
do
like
something else?
yeah, it's like I don't know if you remember the first time that you may have met somebody that said that they make over 100K a month.
Right.
Like it takes you a minute to go, hold on a second. Like right. And then
Yeah. Right.
on in the online space years back, that was a big marketing tool for a long time. Was like make your annual salary in 1 month. Like that's enticing. When the whole nomadic push happened, you work from anywhere. Like when it was really driving up, and people were just getting into online marketing and affiliate marketing and all this stuff online, it was like it was breaking paradigms. It was shattering like that traditional get a job. It was like build this and you can do this. So for me, it was like that first hearing, like, hold on a second, like that's actually possible. And that has to happen, I think, for all of us, is
Mhm.
to actually like relate to like that's possible. We have to believe in it before we're going to take a step towards it. We don't believe it, we're not going to take a step towards it.
Well, I think some people aren't even exposed to that. Number one, some
Mhm.
people will never accept that it's possible. Or maybe the third option, you must be doing something illegal or scamming someone to make that much, right?
Exactly.
There's not the question should be how are you doing that? Like that's like amazing. How can I do that? What can I bring of value to the world to do that? It's kind of like a rejection, which was, I mean, kind of my entry point to the entrepreneurial world. Like for the first event where we actually physically met, you were coaching me for a couple months, and we meet in April out in Scottsdale, and that's the whole, Stapleton saying, "Don't put us on a pedestal," and meeting those people, and like you think there's going to be this competition, like there's this. I think corporate, I think even bureaucratic jobs, even public jobs, there's so much like because because maybe the creativity and the flexibility is capped on the freedom that you can, like I could bring more value than I'm bringing right now, and but you're not going to pay me more. There's like this natural composition or competition and aligning the things. I don't know. I mean, and then entrepreneurship, there's like none of that. People like literally will help you. People that are up in that stratosphere, how could I ever be them? They're like, yeah, I'll talk to you, be open. I mean, they're so generous in that. I mean, is that a similar experience you've had in terms of like mind opening as well?
Totally, because there's no process. Like entrepreneurship is open,
Yeah.
right? It's like we say the word entrepreneur, it's just like, oh, what are you building? It's like I love more than anything helping people leave their jobs. Like when I hear somebody be like, listen, like I want to retire my partner. It's like I love that. Like I love that a ton. Because it's like you're willing to do something different, right? You believe that it's possible, right? Whatever that is. So it's like there's no like, hey, in order for me to help you as an entrepreneur, you're gonna have to do this and this and be qualified here and there. It's like, man, like you want to run a lemonade stand and bring some extra cash in? Let's talk about it. Let's jam out on this. Like just get into
Right.
the right brain and get the creative juices, no pun, going, and let's literally have some fun. Like let's think about it. And if I could provide something that's in, say, a multi-million-dollar business, it relates to a micro lemonade stand. And if you can
Right.
explain that same fundamentals to someone who's never heard them before, I mean, that's a good, to teach is to lead and the lead is to teach, you know?
This episode is brought to you by Supported Tutoring, where we don't just help students get better grades, we help them become critical thinkers. Whether it's mastering AP exams, maximizing college applications, or building lifelong learning habits, our expert tutors focus on critical thinking, confidence, and real growth. Head to supportedtutoring.com to find the support your student deserves. So obviously your wife has been very supportive through this journey because you haven't probably worked a traditional job in a very long time, correct?
Yeah, it's been a point of contention. I mean, when the highs are highs and the lows are lows, it comes up. We've been through gauntlets, but yeah, she's been an incredible rock. It took her a while to figure that part out for sure. All of us figured out.
I guess, I mean, because I'm still struggling with it too, but anyone else that could be watching this, the millions of viewers that will turn into this as well. Like, so just, I'm afraid of making that jump. We're still in that security mindset of like, do the conservative pathway, 3 more years, secure the pension, make the leap. But there's part of me that wants to make the leap sooner, right? And transition completely out of the full-time job into entrepreneurship. I don't know if that predicament appeared to you guys in your relationship or if it naturally just played out the way you are. But like, when were you like, I can't go back to a 9 to 5. I can't go back to a W-2. Like, when was that door closed? Because it seems like at this point, the door is closed for that. Correct.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, it's a decision, right? And like you kind of voice a decision, like, okay, 3 more years, I get this, and it equals that. Like you've got an equation, right? And that equation for our brain gives us safety. Our brain needs to know something so it feels safe, lets the guard down. If not, it's looking for things. And then depending on what we're giving it to look for, it's looking for an expansion, and it's a good feeling, or it's looking for fear. It's either thriving or it's surviving. It's looking to thrive or it's looking to survive. And they're two totally different expansive or contractive energies. So it's like, if you feel confident to say, hey, like 3 more years, this is what that, you're good. Just follow the path, take it on. If you're like, hey, I'm going to jump next week, watch all the stuff that gets driven up because you're like, I don't know how are we going to do it? All the how comes up. We don't need to know the hows. Entrepreneurs need to know the hows. We don't know anything to do with the how. We're as far as we are right now based on previous thoughts and previous information. But if we learn something new today, it changes the whole equation. So we have to understand that we're always on the edge of not knowing something. There's always something we don't know. So we have to have that open mindset to it. It's when we're in jobs and we're just closed and we stop learning that's it, as far as you're going to go.
Well, and I think that's what's so scary for people. I mean, as myself. So like I had a professor in my doctorate program, right? And something clicked because it applied to previous learning was like, which Simon Sinek, right? The why, the golden circle and the danger and the circles of safety. He had baseline circle, concentric circle. Baseline circle, we're safe. We had the next circle was learning, and the third circle is danger. And it's amazing, if we want to talk about the mental health crisis today, but like, we are safe. We are at baseline when we're not learning. True learning means we have to step outside of our comfort zone, acknowledging to the world and ourselves that we don't actually know something. Mm-hmm. And that actually can trigger, I don't know if it's a limbic response or whatever the nervous system response of like, oh, there's something wrong. And you could just skirt right through the learning phase and go into danger and anxiety and shut yourself off from new learning, which I found when he put that up, I don't know what it was, just like everything like put together, like, oh my God, that if you're not safe, you can't learn. Like in that, and how many people walk through this world, either, low-key stress, don't feel safe or whatever, or other things. They're never going to take that risk to learn something new because they value safety more than learning.
Yeah. And then you could tap into something like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's just like, we do have to feel safe. There is like, having a roof over your head, knowing that you're going to eat tonight, knowing that you got enough water to survive. Like there is foundations to stand on, right? But there's also, I remember one of the first mentors that ever helped me in business. He's like, you got to be willing to eat potatoes for a couple of years. And I'm like, what? He's like, you just got to be willing to eat potatoes for a couple of years. Like, just be okay with a 10-pound bag of potatoes. That's it. It's all you're going to eat. You're going to learn to cook it like 10 different ways, but you're going to eat potatoes for a couple of years. Just deal with it. I didn't know what it meant until it's like, yeah, like 3 years into business, you're just like, you're good. Like I'm fasting. I'm fasting for 3 days, right? Like I'm just fasting. Right? Not eating.
Well, how do you, and we both know Stephen. Stephen and I have had similar conversations. We look at the entrepreneurs that we know and we value and that are so far ahead of the game. Their dynamic does not necessarily look like us. They don't have the family. They don't have the house. They don't have the wife. They don't have the kids. They have girlfriends. They live in their bachelor single life, kind of, right? The kid equation. Like how do you navigate that? That just seems like super stressful. Like I don't want to say stress. I don't want to put a label on it, but it's just like, how did you rise above that? Because, people who are in their 30s and are drained from their job, kind of like how I'm on this journey and want to start something new, want to build something, that's a big ass risk. That's a really, really big risk to do. Learn something new, but take a risk of like, okay, I'm leaving the secure job. We have a house payment. We have all these payments and kids, we'll figure it out. Like people, that's probably one reason done, but like you embraced it. And obviously I don't think you're just eating potatoes, but it could be wrong.
Those were early days of entrepreneurship.
Yeah, right.
It was like, you got to be willing to just like, you got to, it's a decision again. Like it's a decision, and there are constructs, and the majority of growth that all of us make, it's like, it's deconstructing. It's not adding new constructs, it's deconstructing. And I would say like there could be a false reality that could be created and says, oh yeah, like for them to be a multimillionaire, have all this and do all that, like they can't have kids, or you can't have that if you're a family of 3, 5, 8, whatever it is. Like you create this false construct, right?
Right.
I like to lean into those constructs and be like, when the whole hustle culture was going on, it's just like, listen, like I met a mentor that taught me that it was really easy to make money. So even just hearing that is like, it's really easy to make money.
Right.
That actually goes against the grain of a majority of people. Like, you gotta like the grinders and this, you gotta work, you gotta like. So I'm like, yeah, but. And he's like, well, hold on a second. Like it goes up the chain. Like he learned from somebody who said it's really easy, and he went through the same like distorted, almost turbulence of like, yeah, but I've been taught like hard work, and I was taught like you got to do this, you got to have a job, you got to. It's like you got to be willing to deconstruct all those things. Right. So for me, like that's part of the successful fatherhood is like, and that's where I got with all the gyms. It's like there was a ton of outward success, but it was like there was no inner fulfillment. So I had to choose between those. And honestly, when you're a family man and you're working 90 hours a week and you're driving 3 hours to and from, and you're leaving the house before anyone gets up, and you're getting home when everyone's asleep, guess where that turns out? Like marriage is on the fritz. You don't have a relationship with your kids.
Right.
Like you're on the verge of burnout. So like what's good? Like you want to buy another cottage, you want to buy another car, you want like what do you know what I mean? Gifts don't make up for that.
Material things become meaningless at that point.
Yeah.
So you had some real estate investments that you were able to, I assume, maximize on the COVID, right? Insanity. And you just, honey, we're moving to Costa Rica. Is that kind of how it happened? Like,
well, it's in present time, it can feel like hell, but in retrospect, they were all steps to get us exactly where we're supposed to be and where we are right now. Right? Like there's always in retrospect, you're like life is always working out for us. That's another belief. Like that's just a choice for me. We could debate it till the cows come home, but I'm unbudgeable. I cannot be budged off the fact that life is easy, life is fun, and that life is always working out for us. Like that's it. Like that's my flag is planted in the ground that I've decided that. Right? You can't talk me out of that. That's just a decision. So with that decision, it's like, so now anytime I'm going through anything, I'm like, this is great for me. This is fantastic. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. This is great for me. So
you have a couple gems. I love that one. That's a good one. Life is always working out, because you do have some mindsets, which we've talked extensively about mindsets. But my favorite, I think, well, I got two Brianisms that are my favorite. Okay. Which is, the one is a complete, like, black or white. I have not been able to eloquently express it enough to my family that I'm not a person that practices what I preach, but you're either consuming or you're creating. Like we're a consumption or we're creating. And then there is no failure. The only failure is if you stop. Mm-hmm. And that's so counterintuitive to, I think, where we are as a society and what we think of learning, and where, like, failure is getting an F on a paper, and then therefore you're bad at math. And then the label is I'm bad at math. And that becomes your identity. And just how destructive the traditional 1.0 grading is. It's not about, oh, you just didn't get it at this time. You can still get it. You can still figure it out. But it's like, no, we took a test, you're dumb. moving on. That's and so like, but just I mean, where I mean, I did someone like where do those inspirational things go? You can maybe expand on those thoughts a little bit, or like how do we get there as a society?
Yeah, like it's called a shift. Like you have to shift your perspective. You have to shift like your viewpoints.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing to, right? Like there's open-minded and there's closed-minded. It's like you can be closed-minded and then you're not letting new information in. You can be too open-minded, you're letting so much information in that you don't even have a sweet clue what's going on. There's a beautiful balance to everything. We call it like in the human body, going back to like schooling, it's like, well, there's something called homeostasis
Mm-hmm.
or like equilibrium, right? So we're always looking for that, like in life as an athlete, whatever it is, it's like you need to pay attention to when we're at a balance. And we are at an extreme imbalance in society. We know that there's a tipping point coming at some point, whether we're countries and we've been divided so much. Like what happens when you pull a rubber band back? It
Mm-hmm.
snaps, right? That's it. It snaps or it comes driving back together and we have to figure it all out. It takes a breakdown before a breakthrough, right? It takes something extreme to happen within our lives that we have a different perspective. So another great principle is like, discipline is coming from either within or from without, but either way it's coming. Another way to say that is like you can be proactive or you can be reactive. You can wait till something slaps you in the face, right? So being in the fitness industry for 18 years, I saw a lot of middle-aged men that had a quadruple bypass. They get woken up and their family's at their bedside. They're a senior partner at one of the biggest law firms in town, and they survived. They survived. They literally, widowmaker, they survived. They woke them up and said, you survived. They don't remember the last like 2 weeks because they've been in and out of surgeries. And then literally they sell their shares, they walk out, and guess what? They're looking for personal training, nutritional coaching. They want an entire lifestyle change, right?
Right.
Like, don't wait till that happens to start eating better. It's like we're just not aware. We're not conscious. We're like lemurs, like walking towards the cliff, you know? Like we're consuming, like we're
Mm-hmm.
not creating. And we're not in harmony. There's harmony and there's disharmony. We're in a state of disharmony right now.
How do you how do you think AI factors into this in terms of disrupting the status quo, disrupting education, disrupting learning as we know it? Because, and I think I saw somewhere Gen Z is going to be like, they're going to outpace, they're going to be the wealthiest generation alive in like maybe less than 10 years just because of how they like learn without bounds in terms of just like there's no the rules, the hierarchies, the structural things in place, they don't really follow. And there's just so many different ways to make money now. But like I see AI. I don't think we're at all ready. I think a lot of people seriously we're any ready for the disruption AI is going to cause to the traditional workforce. But like, where do you see it fitting in? Where do you see it going with this?
Well, let's use the same principle that you threw back about you're either consuming or you're creating. So the cliche saying is like a knife in a murderer's hands takes lives, and a knife in a surgeon's hands saves lives. So it's like just exchange knife for AI. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, what are you using it for? Are you using it to improve other people's lives, to help educate more people, to make things more efficient? Which a majority of AIs, I mean, we're literally going to be light years ahead of where we were within a decade.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to put the last 200 years of everything we've ever done to shame because we're going to use all that information. We're going to compile it and you're going to be able to have it in seconds, right? The level to communicate. Like, so it's going to take time, but we're also at the end of a generational cycle. The boomers, they're exiting, they're transitioning into the greater world, and they're literally like that is ending. We're kind of in this bridge, like where our kids won't know any different. They're in
Right.
that new zone where things are flying. They don't know anything different. We had to kind of jump in and start learning to type faster because you weren't writing or you weren't, you know what I mean? Like we had to
Yeah.
take computer classes where you're like, Why am I learning this? This is stupid. It's like now just kids like they don't
They
even have to
just do.
type anymore. They just talk, or they just plug
Right.
into it, or they just have it. Like they don't even have to type, right? So
Right.
I think the principle of whether we're creating or we're consuming is we really have to my focus is going to be on the ability to have conscious awareness, right? To stay present because we're at an all-time moment where you literally can plug yourself into a virtual reality set and like you're now in it. You're
Right.
in.
What I guess, as we kind of wrap up here, what where is the successful fatherhood? What is it? What do people need to know about it? Why should they reach out to you? Like what is your goal with this? We talked a little bit on kind of setup, but like what kind of get down to the nuts and bolts of like, well, what are we looking for to accomplish with this?
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful time that we're in. So talking about disruption, talking about some disharmony, right? And bring it back to the whole breakdown before there's a breakthrough. We're all like learning new things. We're learning to integrate new things. We're learning to like businesses are shifting, industries are shifting, wealth is shifting. There's so much change all at once, right? We're just in it. We're in kind of like we're in it. There's no way around it. Just embrace it. This is going to be great. It really is. Be disrupting for a while. We'll figure it out, but it's going to work out better than it's ever been. Like you got to believe in that. So I know where I was when I was absolutely unconscious and I was grinding it out. I know where my relationship with my wife was at the time. I know that I wasn't present with my kids, right? Like I owned gyms and I was probably the unhealthiest version of myself I was because it was all about the bottom line and it was all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I know where I was when I was unconscious. It's like knowing where you are if you were ever like an addict. It's like the ability to go into an AA meeting and you've been clean for 30 years and you just want to share with people the steps that helped you get out of that because you don't know what you don't know. So that same process of like the steps to like just start to have a different perspective that one, life is easy, that life is working out for you. To help people shift to where you can actually you're responsible for what's going on in your life. To shift from being a victim. Like these things are happening to me. It's like no, they're happening for you, right? And starting to just give other middle-aged men the ability to create more space in their life where they become more conscious and more aware that they can open that space to now create. Because if that space doesn't exist and it's closed, there's no space or energy to create. Right. So I want to bring them back in tune and start to create their lives around the things that matter most.
Awesome. Where can they find out more information?
Yeah, successfulfatherhood.com will be the best spot to get to.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. Well, check it out. You have a Facebook group as well, correct?
yeah, that's right.
Facebook group, successfulfatherhood.com. Brian, thank you so much for your time tonight. I know you are also a family man as well, obviously, as we talk about that. I got kids fighting with showers out here, so I'm sure yours are running around somewhere too soon. So appreciate
Yeah,
your time. Don't want to keep you any longer, but thank you, bud. I'm so glad you're in my life, dude. Appreciate it.
yeah. Back at you, man. It's awesome.
All right. Thanks for watching. Before you go, if you're a parent with a son or daughter taking the SAT, ACT, or any AP subject, or needing college admissions guidance, and you're watching them stress about test scores or worry about getting into their dream college, we've created the exact resources that have helped over 450 plus students get scores of 4s and 5s on all their AP exams, get into their target colleges, build unshakable confidence, and secure their future careers. Everything you need is down in the description below. Our proven test prep strategies, college admissions roadmap, and confidence building system. So go down to the description and click the link right now and give your son or daughter the tools they need to succeed. Because your son or daughter has everything it takes to achieve their dreams, they just need the right guidance to unlock their potential. Hit that link below and let's make it happen.